What's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, my name is Kyle. I make videos about cameras and photography and things like that. Today is going to be a little bit of a different type of video. One, I'm hopefully going to do very minimal editing to this video. Kind of just want to give my thoughts on this newly announced camera from Sony, the Sony A7C, which I believe stands for compact, and it's their full frame camera. Brand new, it's super tiny, and they're claiming all these things that it's the world's smallest full frame camera with an EVF on it and things like that. So just gonna be me talking about what's been released, my feelings on it. Am I gonna buy it? Am I gonna pre-order it? All of those things. Am I gonna get a review unit and things like that? This is exciting stuff. If you're new here, I make a lot of videos on Sony cameras, especially the small form factor cameras like the A6000, 6100, the A6K lineup of cameras, and I love them. I'm shooting on a Sony A6100 right now. Have a bunch of videos on the A6000. Love that camera. Still recommend that camera to people who are on a budget looking to get into photography. This camera is coming in, the Sony A7C is coming in at $17.99 US dollars. So it's a full frame camera, so you can expect a full frame camera to usually be above $1,000, brand new at least. This is a pretty high price for what this camera offers. So the Sony A7 III, if you're not familiar, is a great full frame camera by Sony. It has tons of video specs packed into it. It's a great photography camera as well, but it has some pitfalls, like the LCD screen is very lackluster. It's not a vari-angle LCD screen. Its viewfinder is lackluster. I, being somebody who has a lot of Sony lenses, has a lot of Sony gear, have found myself wanting a Sony A7 III to kind of step into the full frame market. It's a great price at $2,000. Obviously a little bit more than the A7C now, but the Sony A7 III really just is a great all-around camera. You can do a ton with it, and this is just underneath of it price-wise, and it also inherits some of the bad things about the Sony A7 III. In my opinion, one of the biggest deals is that the screen, although a flip out screen, which is great, Sony is obviously marketing to vloggers and creators and things like that, YouTubers even, and the screen is, I think it's the same screen or it's not better. I feel like the screen should be the top priority, as well as the EVF, in terms of resolution and just punch. The Canon RP, which is $1,000, it didn't debut at $1,000, but it's around $1,000, has a phenomenal back LCD screen, and the viewfinder is pretty good too. How do I know that? My fiance owns a Canon RP. She does portrait work, engagements, things like that, photography for her makeup business, and the Canon RP blows me away every time I see images from it. It can't shoot very fast. It's not a sports designed camera. Like Sony cameras, pretty much all of them can shoot fast. However, the RP does a lot of good things. So, and I know there was a lot of stink about the RP and, things when it came out, but for $1,000, that's a phenomenal camera. And I think about buying it all the time. We don't have a lot of RF lenses. We have 2 RF lenses. No, we have 1 RF lens, and then she's used an adapter for a different lens. So that's been a hurdle thinking about getting an RP, is do I want to go into full frame? First of all, do I want to go into full frame because of the price? And then do I want to buy a bunch of RF lenses, or do I want to adapt? Anyway, so what's cool about this camera, the Sony A7C, is that I could use all of my gear that I have for the A6K line. However, they obviously wouldn't be optimized to use on that, but that's the beauty of the E-mount, is that I could just jump right in and get the body only and use some of my APS-C lenses, and I would be probably okay with the quality. It wouldn't be, what I would strive for, but it could get me started, or get you started if you're interested in something like that. So what's really interesting to me, a couple things. One, I really like the styling of this camera. Price is probably the biggest pitfall at the moment, but one of the biggest pros I like is how good this camera looks. They're definitely taking some stuff from Fuji and going, hey, we can make cool looking cameras too. It's not crazy different than what they've done with now it's looking like a mashup of the A6K lineup and the full frame lineup, the A7 lineup. So that's kind of cool. I was hoping for a middle viewfinder, the EVF. Instead, it's on the end like the A6K lineup. Here, let me show you the A6000. See, I gotta put it in front of my face because I have face detection on. It's on the the end over here. So it's gonna keep that same body type, which is interesting. I know, more professional photographers don't like that per se. This is, for all intensive purposes, kind of a professional camera, which then brings me to another point though for professionals, is that it lacks 2 SD card slots, which in my opinion is mind-blowing. I understand it's a smaller body. It's even smaller than the Sony A7 III. That's kind of what they're pushing, is that full frame. This is the smallest thing out there with an EVF, because I believe, what's the other company? There's another company that makes a full frame that's smaller than this, but it doesn't have an EVF. So they got a little asterisk next to all of the different specs that are like, either, there's some little caveat to each of these things with the little asterisk. I mean, that's what it implies, is that it's not the flat out like best of best things all the time with these spec sheets. So with all of that said, the couple different points that I've talked about is what I'm interested is in is that I may get a review unit of this. I have no idea when. Maybe it'll be a month down the line or 2 months. Let's see if they mention when this is actually dropping. So according to Sony's announcement details, this is going to be coming out in late October. Again, it's going to be $17.99, so $1,800 US, and then a whopping 2,399 Canadian dollars. So sorry, Canadian buyers. Then the lens, the new lens, it's a full frame FE 28 to 60 millimeter f4 to f5.6 zoom lens that's very compact. I'm actually really stoked about that lens. Not necessarily that lens, but the fact that they're trying to make things more compact like the body, but they're also going to try and do that with lenses. So maybe some chunky lenses can come down in size a little bit, but we shall see. That is going to be $500 US dollars and then 650 Canadian dollars. And that isn't going to come out until early 2021, which is interesting because I feel like part of the experience of having this camera, the Sony A7C, might be having that kit lens, especially for somebody who's new coming into the Sony E-mount system. They're like, hey, I want to ditch Canon, or I want to ditch Fuji or Panasonic or Olympus or whoever, and I want to go full frame into this Sony awesome world with crazy object, autofocus, all that. In this small body, I want to have the lens that's kind of designed for it, but obviously the whole point of E-mount is that you can use any E-mount lens on there, but I feel like part of the experience is messing with this lens with the new camera, but they will be coming out at different times. And then they also announced a flash that's going to work differently with the newer Sony cameras, and that's going to be $250 US dollars and 329 or 330 Canadian dollars. And the whole premise behind this flash is that, again, it is compact. It's smaller but packs a punch, equal to another flash that they mentioned that they also sell. So, making things just as powerful or more powerful and smaller. So I'm all about that life. However, mentioning, powerful and small, with this camera, you do lose a custom button versus the A7 III. If you want to know all the nitty gritty, tiny details, you could either look at the press release or you could watch Gerald Undone's video. I just watched it before I fired up the camera here. I usually watch his video first. Whenever a new camera gets announced, he's usually one of those YouTubers who gets a couple weeks early, and he does a really great job talking about differences between said new camera and maybe a previous gen or one that's similar to it. And also Jared Polin. He has a whole 30-minute video on the Sony A7C, so check that out as well. As far as what I bring to the table, being a channel that makes videos on the APS-C lineup of Sony cameras, I'm stoked on this, but I'm also not stoked on this. I'm stoked on this because I love the look of it. I'm really digging the silver and black. I think if I did get this, I would go with that option over just the black. All of my cameras are just straight up black, so I like that they're adding in that element. I also like that they went small and they were like, you know, we're just gonna keep going smaller and smaller. I really like that. Hey, real quick, this is editor Kyle chiming in here. I was watching back the video and I realized I didn't really touch a lot on the size of the A7C, the A7C compared to the Sony A7 III. Gonna put a picture on the screen right here for you guys to take a look at. It's really not that big of a difference size-wise. A little bit of a difference weight-wise. I'm looking at the picture right now. The Sony A7 III is 1.43 pounds. The Sony A7C is 1.12 pounds. So less than a pound difference. I mean, not even a half-pound difference. Not sure how that's gonna feel in the hands, but a lot of other YouTubers have touched on that the size really isn't that much smaller. And I kind of agree with that. The viewfinder's moved to the side rather than in the middle. So it's, you know, it's shorter in height. And it may fit in a pocket better, but you're not really gonna pocket this camera unless you're using that new compact lens. Then it'll fit in your backpack a little better. But just keep in mind that it is smaller, it is lighter, but it's not world-stopping smaller and lighter like Sony is kind of making it out to be. So just wanted to slide that into the video as I'm watching the edit. Just something to keep in mind. Still appreciate Sony making a smaller camera, but it's really not that much smaller. That's why I like the Sony A6100, which is my main camera at this point. I really love that. Now this has the bigger grip, and it's going to be a little bit bigger probably than the A6600. And when I've held that recently, it felt really big compared to like the 6100, but that just comes with the territory with the bigger battery, which this has the newest Sony battery, which is great. I think that battery should get stuck in as many cameras as possible. So really like the looks, like that it's smaller, love that it's a flip out screen, but then that's kind of like where the pros for me stop. Like just those couple things at the moment. Obviously, I want to get my hands on this. I did put my name into the hat to get a review copy, so I'm really hoping I can get one sooner than later and talk to you guys just straight up like, hey, is this thing worth the money? Is it better than an A7 III? And then I'll make a decision if I'm going to buy it. Right now, I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to pre-order it. I'm hoping that I'll just get a review unit and then I can really make a better educated decision and maybe help you guys make a decision without getting your hands on it first and stuff like that. I can't get over the LCD screen. I'm really bummed about that. My Canon M50, which is right here on my shelf, hopefully I'm not making too much noise behind you. This little guy right here has an amazing LCD screen. Its viewfinder is like really contrasty, but its LCD screen, like for some reason, Canon cameras, and I don't even know the specs of the LCD screen versus say the 6100, but the LCD screen on the Canon cameras that I've used, the RP, the M50, they're crystal clear and vibrant. I love them. The Sony A7 III, I was very close to buying it at one point, and then I held it in my hands. I had the viewfinder up. I was messing with it for well over a half an hour at a camera store, and I just decided against it. I was like, you know what, this doesn't really do it for me for 2,000, plus dollars and stuff like that. So I hate the fact that they didn't really up their game with that, and they didn't bring in the new menu system that Sony A7S III has. Now, Sony A7S III is one of the premier cameras of the year. Everybody, is raving about it and things like that. And it has a newer, improved menu system. And Sony's menu system has not been the best. I like the subtle changes they've made in certain models, but the Sony A7S III, which I haven't reviewed personally, but everything I've seen about it, I like that menu system better. This was a perfect opportunity to kind of start the new wave of Sony cameras with the newer menu system. So it sucks that it's not in the Sony A7C. Okay, I don't want to rant all night and things like that. I kind of just want to put my thoughts out in the world and talk to you guys. Maybe some of you are like, yes, this is what I've been waiting for. It is definitely going to be an amazing camera for vlogging. Has in-camera IBIS, so stabilization is there. I don't know. Let me know, are you guys ready to jump on this? If you are, say, watching Casey Neistat's reinvigorating vlogs lately, and if you aren't, go watch his new vlogs. It seems like he's daily vlogging again. Thank you, Casey. It's so inspirational. But anyway, if you're thinking about getting into vlogging, and with maybe the best camera that you could use for vlogging, lightweight, great autofocus, flip out screen, all of those things, this is probably the camera for you. Or you would get the A6100, which I think is probably the best beginner vlogger, YouTuber camera on the market. That's just, it's just my opinion. Oh, I almost forgot one last thing that I need to talk about. 24 megapixels, 24.2 megapixels. Sony, look at me. Sony, you, me, 30 megapixels or something. We've had 24 megapixels for 35 years. I'm probably exaggerating about that. Whoop-de-doo. Why can't we get 30 in this thing? That would have been impressive, cool, and made me more likely to buy this, but I'm just ready to just step up a little bit, just to 30. Just Sony, if you're listening, I would like a little more megapixels, okay? Don't know why I just did it like that, but anyway, just putting my feelings out there. But yeah, so let me stop myself like I was trying to a minute or so ago and end the video here. Let's talk in the comments, guys. There's a lot of stuff to take in. New compact lens, new flash that they announced, which is cool. And then the whole narrative that they're trying to talk about, smaller, more compact, built for creators and things like that. Do we think that we want this camera, or are we just, really not happy with it? Let's talk in the comments. Let's go. I'm ready. Stay tuned for some cool videos coming up, lens reviews, things like that. I will see you guys in the next episode. Later.